Good morning, everyone. We're going to go ahead and get started. Welcome. We're glad you're here. I'm thankful you're here and looking forward to speaking with everyone and talking a little bit about AIVRTTAC, TBR Institute, and the ways that we can assist you. Wayne is going to start us off with going over our webinar objectives for today.
All right. Good morning, everybody. We are going to go through several different parts of the TA and training today. Objective one that we're looking at is we're going to basically introduce AIVRTTAC and the TBR Institute personnel. So we're going to talk about some of the people that are here with the merging of the two projects from the last funding cycle to this funding cycle. There hasn't been any changes so we just want to make sure that everybody knows who's here for those new novice grantees and the newer staff and newer directors. On objective two, we're going to discuss the differences between the different TA levels, so you'll have a good understanding of that and help guide your decision making when it comes to reaching out and seeking that assistance. We're going to review the steps for requesting that technical assistance, and then we're going to explore the partnership between AIVRTTAC and Tribal VR Institute. Okay, so the people that we have working with us now is me, because obviously I'm talking. So I am now the AIVRTTAC director. The TVR Institute director remains to be Laura, and our TA hub lead is Jamie Emanuel, and the contact experts that are working with Jamie in providing the TA services are Rebecca Holland. She's the former director for HAMUS, now working with Montana State VR, and Amanda Ray, she's the current director for the Tanana Chiefs. Nancy Riddick is a I don't know, professor, part-time professor with the Institute, and then she's doing a bunch of other stuff. And Nancy also worked with us in the last funding cycle under the employment specialist position training or project that we did, the employment development and placement project. And then Ms. Paula Snez with Navajo Nation. She's the current director out there. We also have working under AIVRTTAC with different hubs. We have Rhonda Jensen, who's leading the Knowledge Translation Hub. We have Arden Day, who's leading the Evaluation Hub. And then we have two support areas. One is with Dr. Lee Gashioma and the Traditional Cultural Support and Guidance area. And then there's John, who you heard speaking earlier, is doing the state-of-the-art IT support area. And in that same area, we have our dissemination and UTA person, which is Winona Reed. Just want to give everybody that we're all there.
Yeah, and I'd like to add that today we have Dr. Kelly Roberts, who is the PI on this particular grant and also is the director of the Institute for Human Development. And Dr. Holly Holland is the assistant director. She is joining us today as well. And then, of course, you all know Dr. Lee Gashioma. He is our cultural liaison with this project. And Winona Reed as well is working with this project, which Wayne had just said. So just wanted to introduce those folks that are on today as well. They may not be on every webinar, but they are with us today.
Okay, so the overview of this whole project is we want to improve the capacity of the AIVRS project to provide culturally appropriate VR services, which then allows you to increase successful employment outcomes for your eligible tribal participants. And we're taking this through now that we've merged the two projects, we are taking this approach. So we have the academic foundational piece, and then we also have the implementation piece through the TA. So with the TBR Institute, we got 13 courses, and Laura's going to talk more in depth about this. I'm just going to give you just a brief overview of that. I don't want to get too deep into it, but there's 13 courses that we are offering under the AIVRTTAC that help develop that foundational knowledge that is so important in providing those services to the participants. And then we're creating this pathway of knowledge so that we can implement it as well. And that's where the TA really comes into play and starts to support the staff that are on the line, so to speak. And that this partnership is going to be so great. We're really excited to be working together and start supporting all of the projects in this holistic approach. So it's really exciting. We are working under a partnership. When the RFP came out, the language indicated that the AIVRTTAC, the old AIVRTTAC, and the Institute would need to merge into one project, and that's where we have the new AIVRTTAC with the TBR Institute. And so that is what happened. And it's to give you a little background on the funding, we are funded through a cooperative agreement with RSA, and it started October 1 and ends September 30 of 2026. Go ahead, Jamie. Do you want me to introduce you, or do you want to start talking for yourself? You're still muted.
I have to unmute myself first. Sure, I'll introduce myself. My name is Jamie Emanuel. I currently work with AIVRTTAC as the VR coordinator and also as the Training and Technical Assistance Hub lead. And so my duties with AIVRTTAC are providing the leadership for the Training and Technical Assistance Hub in developing training materials, developing plans for technical assistance, and working directly with the projects. So Wayne is my supervisor, and we also work jointly with the TBR Institute, Dr. Laura Maudsley, and we're excited about this new grant, and we're glad you're here with us today so we could talk a little bit more about better ways of providing technical assistance and the assistance you may need with some of these areas or some of these topics that we have listed on the screen. So our grant states that we will provide assistance, technical assistance to all AIVRTTAC projects on the following topics, which are applicable laws and regulations, promising practices for providing services, delivery of VR services, assistive technology, professional development practices, financial and grant management practices, and also project performance evaluation. We'll be working jointly with the Institute on these topics. There's some areas that we have already developed training materials and presented webinars and assisted you all. And we have also completed ITAs with you all in the past. We are going to be doing things a little bit differently. And so that's why we felt like that we should have this webinar today to just kind of explain some of the new processes that we're putting in place. And Dr. Maudsley is going to tell you a little bit about the Capacity Building Hub.
Not a doctor, but thank you.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I apologize. I get in that habit calling everyone doctor.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Laura Maudsley. I work as the director of the TBR Institute, which is located at Northwest Indian College, which is on the Lummi Reservation in Washington State. At the Institute, we offer 13 quarter-long courses in AIVRS topics. They're all online classes. We also offer the Financial Management Toolkit, which is held on a website through Northwest Indiana College that was written primarily for new directors. And it's kind of like a whole, it describes how you would set up a program based on your grant, setting up all the budget and working with your accounting department, setting up purchasing, all that kind of thing. We do offer one of our classes that provides training on that. And then we are also in the process of developing pathways for AIVRS staff to get training in voc rehab and TBR. So we offer an award of completion, and we are also in process of working on a bachelor's degree through Northwest Indiana College, which would be a human services bachelor's degree that would have a TBR concentration. So all of the TBR classes that we've developed would go towards that bachelor's degree. And then we're also always creating new, Beth Boland actually works as the assistant institute director, and she runs the Master's in Rehabilitation Counseling program at Western Washington University. And so we always send people to her who are interested in master's degrees because she has knowledge of all the training programs in the country. And the other person who isn't here is Mackenzie Tham, who works as our participant coordinator. She's currently on maternity leave, and she'll be back in a couple months.
Thank you so much, Laura. So today we'd just like to talk more about technical assistance, give you an idea of what the definition and description of that is for those of you that may be new. I know we have directors on here that have been directors for a very long time and are very familiar with AIVRTTAC and what we do, but we wanted to also reach out to new directors or new individuals that weren't familiar with what we do at AIVRTTAC. And I'm just excited to see some of the folks that are on today. I saw Treva Roanhorse is with us today. Excited that you're here with us, Treva, a legend in the TVR field, and some other folks as well. And for you new folks that are brand new with your projects, you may be brand new to AIVRS or VR in general. I just want to say that we really encourage mentorship with directors that have a lot more experience or have been in the field a lot longer to support the new individuals, because, let's face it, we were all new at one time and maybe did not know all the answers. So I'd like to begin by saying that this grant, our responsibility and our requirements for this grant are to assist with increasing the knowledge and skills of AIVRS project staff in applying evidence-based, emerging, and promising practices in the provision of culturally appropriate VR services to American Indians with disabilities through training and technical or targeted technical assistance. And as you see, Dr. Lee Gassioma is with us today. Lee, we didn't ask you to speak, but I just wanted to introduce you and let folks know that you are driving the culturally appropriate VR services area for us, and will be leading that particular hub for this grant. And then also we are tasked with improving operations and direct service provision of AIVRS projects through the provision of intensive training and technical assistance. And so we have two different areas. We teach webinars on different areas and different topics. You'll see the announcements that come out every week through our AWU. Winona and John make sure that you get those announcements each week, the trainings that we provide. And those are the first part of this grant, in which we're helping, hopefully, to increase the knowledge and skills of AIVR's project staff. And then second fold is where we actually complete ITAs, intensive training assist or technical assistance, to possibly improve any areas of your operations or service provision. So those are the differences and the definitions of those two types of technical assistance. And then to go on even further in detail, talking more about the definition and description of technical assistance, those topic areas, we delve in deeper to provide training and TA on those topics. And we determine those topics in collaboration with you all. So it's not that we just pick out topics and say, this is what we're going to teach on, or this is the webinars we're going to present. We ask for feedback from you all as the directors and staff of these projects. What topics are really areas that you're interested in, or areas that you have concerns with, and that you would like for us to present more training materials and webinars on. So, and those areas, again, are applicable laws and regulations governing your project, also promising practices for providing VR services to American Indians with disabilities. We also deliver or help you with the delivery of VR services, including the VR process, which is, the eligibility, application and eligibility. Other areas of concern may be case management, case record documentation, assessment, development of the IPE, and then, of course, placement in competitive integrated employment. We also have topic areas for assistive technology. We're also going to present webinars and other information on the definition of assistive technology, how to evaluate for AT, what types of AT are available, the use of AT, and how to access assistive technology. Those are areas that we are currently developing now and will be presenting to you all. Implementing professional development practices to ensure effective project coordination, administration, and management. Implementing appropriate financial and grant management practices to ensure compliance with the CFR and the Education Department regulations, and also evaluating project performance, including data. So those are just some of the topic areas. And these 7 in particular are our priority topics. So we want to make sure that we provide you as much information and professional development on these topic areas.
Jamie, can I jump in? Can I jump in real
Yes,
quick?
sir. Sure.
When we look at these 7 topic areas and we start talking about the training and technical assistance that's available, I want to point out that this is also incorporated into the intensive TA that we're working with individual projects on. So we'll go through and look at these 7 priorities, and you'll have an opportunity when we're developing your ITA work plan to put in those pieces that you feel are very important for you, that maybe you've noticed in your program or project that are maybe a little weak, or you need to strengthen certain areas around these seven items. That's a time when you tell us these things and we develop the work plan specific to your needs. So it's very similar to an IPE. When we start talking about developing IPEs with your participants, we're doing the same process. We want it individualized to make sure that it meets your needs as a project, so that we can get you the best results for your project, and the end result is your service provision to the participants meets their needs. All of these that are noted here on this slide, Laura has courses that support all 7, and that's the connection that we're wanting to show now in the new grant is that we are working together to make sure that the knowledge base and the foundational knowledge is there to support the implementation of these practices on site or in your projects. I just wanted to add that. And if there's any questions, please, interrupt us, put it in the chat box as we're going through this. Thanks, Jamie.
Thank you, Wayne. I appreciate you delving deeper into that. So those 7 priority topics are what we will be focusing on. But in addition to those, we also have other topic areas that we feel like are important and maybe areas that you are interested in as well. And again, we'll be looking for feedback from you to see if indeed these are the areas that you want us to continue to develop training materials. And those would be applicable counseling techniques, team building to address staff burnout, self-care, and passion fatigue, developing partnerships with your local schools to provide transition services for tribal youth in rural communities. Also, the use of available resources such as JAN, the NCRTM, any local tribal colleges or universities, your tribal employment offices, and WIOA. Also, job development and job placement with employers. As Wayne mentioned earlier, he and Nancy and Tamara Patterson were instrumental in developing training materials and resources for job development just recently. So that will be rolled out as well. VR professional and project ethics is another topic area that we will be sure to provide you the opportunity for any additional training, and professional development or the career pipeline for careers in rehabilitation. As Laura mentioned earlier, that career pathway, we're developing and partnering with TBR Institute for that professional development opportunity. Now we're going to jump right into what is technical assistance or TA. We have different levels of technical assistance. And so we wanted to explain that. We kind of use jargon around AIVRTTAC and we say UTA, TTA, ITA, but we felt like we really needed to explain that and give you a better description and definition of what that is. So universal technical assistance is provided through our website, information, online resources. We have newsletters, we have pre-recorded webinars and talking circles. We also have products and tools, toolkits, e-learning modules. All of these are located on our AIVRTTAC website and can be downloaded, used independently. If you want to gather a group of your staff together and present some of this information to them yourselves, all of these resources are available for you. And Winona, I didn't ask you to speak today, but if you want to expand on the UTA resources, I'll be glad to ask you to. Did we lose Winona? I think we did. But anyway, as Wayne was saying earlier, Winona is very instrumental in the dissemination of our UTA and getting that located on the website. She and John, I think they're actually revamping the website and rearranging some of those resources. So be on the lookout for an announcement, probably through our weekly announcements later on any changes to the website and how you can access those resources.
Jamie,
we also,
Nona,
yeah.
Jamie, Nona just let us know that she's experiencing some technical difficulties, so her microphone isn't working.
I understand. Sorry about that, Nona. I know you weren't expecting me to ask you to speak, and maybe later on, if your computer or your microphone is working, you can speak a little bit on that subject. We also want to talk about targeted technical assistance. which often takes the form of coaching and guidance through telephone calls or maybe short one-on-one emails back and forth. You know, you email us a question, we answer it via email. And the goal of that is to help to clarify for any AIVRS project staff any issues they're dealing with or any challenges that are taking place. Is also includes the close to 100 webinars and in-person trainings that we have provided over the last 6 years. And targeted technical assistance covers a wide range of topics. And also some of our conversations from the self-care webinars that happened in the middle of COVID, when people were just, you know, frantically trying to figure out how to provide these VR services in an unprecedented global pandemic. And I felt like that the TTA we provided during that period of the spring, summer, and fall and winter of 2020, and then all last year, we just were really frantically trying to provide resources for you all during that time period. And that sort of fell, or it did fall under the targeted technical assistance auspices or title. But, you know, I don't want to downplay targeted technical assistance because that is a way for you to communicate with us. It's not really an in-depth, deep, intensive TA, but we do take on a lot of different issues that you may have and try to answer them as quickly as possible. And our final area of technical assistance is intensive technical assistance. And that is in which activities include an initial or could include an initial and post case file review. We actually meet with you prior, do an intake with you, kind of discuss some of the things that are going on that you feel like you really need some deeper assistance with. And we look at different things. By doing a case file review, we could kind of better understand and see the story of what's going on with your caseload or any of your goals that you might be having problems with. We also cover policies and procedure reviews during that time. We complete training on project management, case management practices. We complete coaching and guidance on VR practices and the VR process and services. So it's intended really to bring about change, either to your policies or to your projects or your program practices or your daily operations, you know, anything that can increase your project's capacity for improved outcomes of one or more system levels, whether it be your programmatic, community, state, or federal. You know, all of this process, this ITA process, is to help you improve in areas that you feel like you may have concern. In order to begin the ITA services, the AIVRS project and AIVRTTAC develop an ITA agreement, which we call an ITAA. And that agreement, we develop that in partnership with you. So it involves the whole staff of your project. Sometimes it stipulates a longer time commitment, you know, more like several months to complete, or even up to a year on the part of the AIVRS project. And typically the ITA site is provided a minimum, well, a minimum of 2 on-site visits in order to gather information. But during COVID, we've been having to do all of this virtually. Unfortunately for everyone, you know, the best case scenario would be if we could come to you and provide all of these services in person, complete an environmental scan of your reservation or where you reside or where your office is, any of your employer data, those type things, so that we could get a better idea of actually what's going on with your project. But as I said, due to COVID, we've been having to do all of that remotely. And we may be continuing to do that remotely for a while, just depending on whether you're open to outside visitors or to the public, and whether we are going to be allowed to travel. So we try to do all of these things so that we make sure that we provide a consistent, in-depth virtual meetings or on-site meetings to help train your staff on these key topics that we just discussed, and to make sure that we meet the objectives of the ITA agreement.
So Jamie, can I jump in here real quick before you move on?
Sure.
I just wanted to take a minute and explain a little more in depth about the ITA agreement process. In the past, we've had some misconceptions of what that is. And at one point, there was a discussion about it being a legal binding document. And I want everybody to understand that this is not a legally binding document. It's not a contract. When we start developing this, we're looking at it more from a plan. This is a kind of a plan that's going to be put together between AIVRTTAC and the project to help you meet the needs of your project. And in my mind, because I always go back to that VR counselor mindset, this is really about like developing an IPE between the two of us. And it's very similar to that same process. We sit down, we talk about what your needs are, what your strengths are, what areas you might need to strengthen, what you already have in place that's working really well for you guys in your service area. And the whole time that we're doing this, we don't want to impose what we feel is the right thing for you. It's all about your service area. You guys are the cultural experts of your area. You know, and you in the tribe and all the day-to-day traditional values that are there. So we aren't going to come in and supersede that. That's not our role. We want to make sure that we provide you the services that fit your needs in your area. And it becomes more of a commitment statement rather than a binding contract. We just want to make sure that you understand that this involves a commitment from your side that we're going to provide you these opportunities to use the tools that have been developed. And the expectation is that you guys implement that in your area to improve services to the participants. The meetings really, we're doing it virtually now because of COVID and the travel restrictions. The meetings are still good. I'm one of those people, I like to be face to face with the projects when we're working, because I feel that we get more out of those meetings. So we're recommending that we continue to use Zoom at this moment, because then we can still see those interactions and have those face to face virtual interactions, and we can still develop that same relationship and that comfort level with the projects as we go through this. I just wanted to take a minute and talk about that agreement. So I want it understood that it's not a binding contract. It's a shared commitment from AIVRTTAC and the AIVRS projects. And again, if there's any questions, please interrupt us or put it in the chat box. Thanks, Jamie.
Thank you, Wayne. I appreciate you explaining that a little more. And we're doing all the talking now. So when we get to the QA, I want you guys to do some talking. Let's move on. So how to request technical assistance. Okay, we've tried to make it very simple. You can go directly to our webpage, which is AIVRTTAC.org. That's AIVRTTAC.org. And when you go to AIVRTTAC.org, you can see up at the top there, at the very top of the web page, there's an email link. You can just click on that and email us directly at AIVRTTAC, your question or concern or any request that you may have. Someone give me a call, if you will. I need help with this. What do I do in this situation? Just click on that AIVRTTAC email link and you can send us our question immediately right then. Or you can contact us by telephone. Here are mine, Wayne, and Laura's direct phone numbers. If you want to give us a call, feel free to pick up the phone and give us a call. But we felt like the easiest and simplest way for you to get an answer to your question was just go right directly to the AIVRTTAC website and click on that yellow button right there that says click here to request TA. You just click on that button, enter whatever question you have. If you want us to follow up with you with a phone call, if you want us to email you back, whatever question you may have, an issue that came up, you need an answer right then, click on that yellow button and we immediately get your request and start right away with either assigning it to one of our staff, myself, probably more than likely, will answer you right away, or Wayne, and we'll get busy trying to answer your question within 24 hours. Wayne, do you have anything to add to that?
Yeah, this is the NAU phone number for me. I just posted my direct line in the chat box. It's a Montana number, and that's one that I have with me all the time. So you guys can call me on the Montana number or the Arizona number.
And same for me. If you dial my number there at the office at NAU, and I'm not in the office, it directly goes to my cell phone. So either way, I'll get in touch with you immediately. And again, the yellow button on the website on the home page is probably the quickest way to get an answer because it immediately comes to us. We can read what your question is and try to get an answer for you as quickly as possible. Any questions? Anyone have any questions? Okay, we'll move on. We're going to talk a little bit about our new VR process website that will be rolling out this spring. And just wanted to give you some information about that. This will be a great resource for yourself and for your staff as far as the VR process. And we piloted this material with a certain number of projects so that they could review everything. We had a very extensive review of all of the materials, and now we're placing it on the website so it's easily accessible, easily downloadable, and should be user-friendly for you and your staff. If you go to AIVRTTAC.org/VR process, it'll take you directly to this site. Or if you just go to AIVRTTAC.org and click on resources, you'll see VR process there as well. And we haven't rolled it out yet, but I just wanted to give you guys a heads up that this is coming very soon. And we'll, of course, release an announcement about it. It'll come out in the weekly announcements. We'll probably do some sort of, maybe even a press release about it. We feel like this is going to be a groundbreaking tool for all of the AIVRS projects. And hopefully you'll be able to use the site regularly to get information about the VR.
Okay, well, Jamie, you're muted again. Yet you had you locked up there for a second.
Internet probably blinked on me. So anyway, this website.
You'll have to reshare your screen.
Okay.
So while you're getting this all back up and going, I just saw Philip's picture, the Wheel of Fortune wheel. That's awesome. So you're in the working slide. There you go.
Okay. Hold on, guys. I'm gonna close out the PowerPoint and open it back up.
Gotta love the virtual world now.
I know, right? I'm at the mercy of my internet server. How about now? Can you see the
Yep.
screen?
Yep.
All right, great. So when you go to the website, you'll see this image for the VR process, and we're very proud of this, what we call the star quilt image. Winona was very instrumental in the development, and John created this graphic design for us. And we felt like that this image from the star quilt encompasses AIVR's and AIVR's culture. And we were really trying hard to get away from that linear flow chart. You know, I'm sure everyone's seen the VR process flow chart. It was little computer squares, and it was cold and nothing culturally inclusive about it. So it took us a while to come up with this design and this image, but we felt like that culturally, this image represents AIVR's VR process. So when you go to the website, you can click on different areas of the VR process. If you click on, for example, application and eligibility, a page will pop up that's information about that step of the VR process. And you can see different areas, each section on that information sheet that explains that step. And then there's clickable and downloadable materials and templates and examples of how to complete this step of the VR process. And so every step, all 7, and I feel like I did miss a slide. Hold on just a second. This thing jumped around when I logged off and logged back in. Here we go. Can everyone see this, the 7 steps of the VR process? And this is actually how that image is broke down. Outreach and referral, orientation and intake, application and eligibility, IPE development, provision of services, employment and case closure, and then of course, post-employment services. So all of those areas are covered in the VR process online resource. We are also offering webinars on the steps of the VR process. We thought we'd start out this project by doing a revision and a re-presentation. We did present all of this material last year through webinars, but we wanted to start out, especially for those new projects or new staff that aren't familiar with VR. We wanted to provide right from the beginning of this grant some information on the VR process. So if you have staff that you feel like would benefit from this training material, here are the dates. March 16th, we're going to start out with orientation and outreach and orientation and intake and application and eligibility. And then on March the 30th, we'll have a webinar on the IPE development. And Wayne did a series on this last year. It was a 3-part series on IPE development. And he's going to go over this again and hopefully provide information for individuals who are developing IPEs. And then on April the 13th, Dr. Gassioma is going to hold a talking circle, and we're going to talk about all of these steps, 1 through 5 of the VR process. If you have any questions about the materials or you have any questions about those steps of the VR process, we can talk it out in the talking circle. And then we're going to pick back up April the 27th with provision of services at allowable cost. Laura is going to, sorry, Laura, I keep wanting to call you Dr. Laura. Laura is going to provide a lot of more information about allowable cost. We're going to jointly present that webinar on provision of services and allowable costs. And then May the 11th, we'll be closing out that series with employment and post-employment services. And I think Nancy, who's on today, one of our content experts, is going to also be presenting on some of these steps of the VR process as well. And then we'll close out with a talking circle on those last 2 steps on May the 25th.
Hey, Jamie, before we move on,
Yes.
we have a couple questions I want to address. I got a question about what AIVRTTAC's role is with the completion of the APR and final reports, and how we can support the AIVRS projects. We do provide that support and TA guidance in the data collection, and if you go on to our YouTube channel, there's a or no, excuse me, onto the website, there's a presentation that we did on data mining and the collection of that data for APR and final reports. But more importantly is if you have specific questions, reach out to us, go through to the website, click on the TA button, and one of us will get in contact with you and help support you through that. RSA has been sharing the new APR form. It's a locked Word document, and there's some changes to it from what we used to use in the MIS format and all that fun stuff. So there is some changes that have taken place that we can help you address. We can't go in and help fill out that report because it's your data, but we can help you in the sense of where to look, how to look for it, and how to compile it, and then how to fill out that form. So yeah, that we do help with that. Mary in the chat box had stated that or put in a chat that in each of these webinars, can we encourage TBR Institute courses or college classes on these topics for college credit towards a bachelor's degree to grow our VR professionals? I'll respond real quick, and then I'm going to let Laura talk more about that. But yeah, Mary, the whole point that we're trying to get to is that it's the human service bachelor's degree with the AIVRS. I just lost the word. What's the word, Laura? Focus?
Concentration area.
Concentration. Thank you. Obviously, my concentration's not working today. All these courses are going to be connected to that. So we will have the VR process is incorporated across all 13 courses. And it is part of that bachelor's degree.
I don't really have anything else to add about that.
Okay. All right, did a good job. We also are getting a lot of questions recently about the electronic case files, and we're talking about having some different webinars in the future. And once that happens, we'll probably develop some technical assistance support around those implementation of the electronic case files or case notes. Right now, we don't have an opinion, I guess is a safe way to say it, because we don't want to be saying that this one's better than that one. Everybody knows the options that are out there right now for those case files, electronic case file options. So my recommendation is that you take the time to sit down with them and talk to the individuals. But if we get more into the in-depth of what does that look like, what are the requirements, what are the CFR interpretation of that, we can have a more detailed discussion about that at a later time. And again, it's one of those things I encourage you to reach out to us through the TA request form, and we can answer it there and get RSA involved in answering that if it's an interpretation of the CFR situation. If I didn't answer all of your guys' questions that were posed, please send me a message and say repeat. All right, Jamie, go ahead.
Wayne, appreciate that. Yeah, we've been receiving a lot of emails, a lot of TA requests or TTA requests in regard to the APR. So if you have any questions about that, feel free to go to the website, send us an email or give us a call, click on the yellow button, and any question you have about that. If indeed we find that we possibly should have a director's discussion or perhaps a webinar on that, Wayne will make that decision whether or not we'll be developing more materials on that particular topic. But for now, if you're stuck, you have a question, you need some help, feel free to reach out to us about the APR. I want to focus for a minute on the website's directors toolkits resources that we have up for you all. I'm not sure if you're familiar with that. If you go to our website and go to toolkits, there are 5 toolkits located there, and it's entitled Your First 90 Days. And it was developed and presented to you all directly in mind with new directors that need some resources or need some help understanding the programmatic side of your project. And we put together these toolkits on different toolkits. One is for your program. One toolkit is for tribal questions, resources, and information. The other one is state, related to state VR and any issues with state questions that you may have. The other one is federal. And then also there's a resources toolkit as well. And we encourage you to go to the website and look at these toolkits, because there's a lot of really important information about your grant or about your project in these toolkits. And they're downloadable. You can print them out, put them in a binder. I'm a real physical, I like to have things in my hand. So I like to print things out and put it in a binder. I know that's probably that's probably the reason we have it on the website, so you don't have to do that. But I like to put things in a binder so I can flip to it easily. So be sure and check out those first 90 days for new AIVRS program directors. Those toolkits are very helpful. Wayne, do you have anything to add to that?
The only thing I want to add to it is that we are currently updating the language to make sure that everything's up to the current times. So we will be working on it, but it's there for your review now, and the information is correct. We just want to make sure that it's all updated with the new language.
Okay, thank you. So now I'm going to turn it over, since we are discussing toolkits, I'm going to turn it over to Laura, who is going to give you a little information about the TBR Institute's financial management toolkit as well, located, and this is their website. The link is on this page here. And then you'll see where the yellow arrow is. That is the financial management toolkit. So Laura, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Thanks, Jamie. So the Financial Management Toolkit is a special project that the TBR Institute had. I think it went online 3 years ago, and it's divided into 6 modules. And it's, like I said earlier, it's designed to help someone who's a new director set up their TBR program. So it just kind of goes through the GAN. It talks about what the grant award notice is. It talks about developing relationships with all of the departments that you'd be working with, like accounting and facilities and IT, all of that kind of thing. Talks about setting up budgets, reporting, all of the regulations, and also about hiring, staff management, team development, teamwork, all of that, burnout prevention, just so there's just all in all the different modules. I'm just going to quickly jump to something else I don't think is in here, is the TBR handbook. I'm going to put the link for that in the chat box. And that is a book that we wrote. We put it out in fall 2020, and it goes through the TBR process. We sent out a printed version to all of the projects that were going at the time. And we've also sent them out to the new directors just since October. And then this is an online version. That's the ebook, and you are welcome to print out any copies that you wish, as many as you wish, because we were only able to send out one copy per program. And then I'm going to put in another link for the toolkit into the chat box. That's just a direct link. The one that's on the slide here is going through our web pages. But, so there's a direct link as well. There's just a lot of information in it. That's the information that I can remember off the top of my head that's in there. So,
Laura, the link didn't come through the chat box.
it didn't.
No.
Oh, that's okay. Sorry
You
about
have
that.
it on me, Laura. This is Nancy.
Yeah, sorry.
I do that all the time. It'll be I'll be direct messaging somebody.
That's what I get for talking at the same time. So that's the direct link to the toolkit, or yes.
Yeah, that one came through.
All right. Sorry for the silence here. Well, I'll put in the other one when I'm not talking anymore. So the Capacity Building Hub is based around offering or helping programs develop the capacity to provide services to their tribal members with disabilities in their communities. We offer 13 classes. The first 7 cover the voc rehab process. And they are also the 7 classes that result in the award of completion in TBR studies when those classes are taken for credit. The last 6 classes are elective classes that we've developed. There's an addictions in TBR services, there's an ethics, there's a medical aspects class, a psychiatric disabilities class, and an advanced counseling techniques class. And all of our classes can be taken for credit or as CEUs. And most of them are 3 credits, some of them are 2 credits, and they all meet twice a week. They're synchronous classes. And then there's work in discussion boards and also projects. Though when students take them for CEUs, they don't have to complete with projects. And then we also have scholarships available for programs that do not have staff development funds available. And so in order for that process to happen, just the director just needs to write and say, we don't have funds available, and can so-and-so please have a scholarship. So it's a really easy process, just email. And currently we have, we're in winter quarter, and we have 78 enrollments in our 6 classes that we're offering right now. And we are putting together our spring schedule, and we'll be sending that out in the coming weeks.
Thank you, Laura.
And
Anyone have any questions about any of the courses, registration, curriculum? I mean, now's the time to ask. If you have staff that you want to recommend, we highly recommend everyone to take these courses and to begin developing a relationship with the TBR Institute if you haven't already. So if you have any questions, now would be the time to ask.
Jamie, this is Lee.
Yes, sir.
Could we have Mary Maruvia verbally pose her question that she put in the chat box and share with the attendees what her thoughts are regarding the TBR classes?
Sure, you'll have to, I can't see the chat box because I'm presenting the PowerPoint, but
I can read her question.
yes, sir.
Okay, it reads, in each of these webinars, can we encourage TBR Institute college classes on these topics for college credit toward the bachelor's degree to grow our VR professionals?
Hi, Lee. This is Mary. Can you hear me all right?
Hey, Mary, yes.
Okay.
Thanks.
Lee, my question in the chat box was just, or my comment was just an encouragement that we always offer to attendees of the webinars, you know, kind of if you want to know more, to sign up for the TBR classes that cover the VR process around those topics that you all had outlined for your webinars. One thing that we've seen in our 30+ year history in tribal VR is that we need VR professionals, and we need people to have educational degrees to identify as a VR professional, so that the staff in the tribal VR programs are long-term staff. And with long-term staff, we get lots of learning and education and improved performance in our tribal VR programs, which in turn leads to stability for our funding if we're having improved outcomes. And so I've always been a strong believer that we need to grow our VR professionals in American Indian vocational rehabilitation, and by doing that, have people self-identify as a voc rehab professional. And the best way to do that is through having an educational degree in vocational rehabilitation or the human services with the emphasis in vocational rehabilitation that Laura described through Northwest Indian College. So that was just my comment, was to always encourage people, if you want to learn more than the webinar, sign up for one of the TBR Institute classes, start your college coursework and your credits, keep moving forward, and eventually our attendees will be having those bachelor's degrees, and then maybe even transfer to some of the distance master's level programs. And this is going to be something that over time will make a huge difference across the country in our tribal VR programs.
Yes. Thank you so much, Mary.
Thanks, Mary.
We're moving on now. Wayne is going to talk more about our content experts, give you some information on who is working with us in providing these technical assistance services to you all. And we are fortunate that Nancy Riddick is with us today, so she can introduce herself. But we wanted to let you know who possibly may be working with you on your TA requests. Sometimes, if we're working with someone else and we need someone to help you right away, we will ask a content expert to assist you with your TA request. So Wayne wanted to share some information about who those individuals are and some of their experience and knowledge in tribal VR.
Thanks, Jamie. Most of you guys know the content experts that we're working with. But for the people that are new that maybe not know them, we just wanted to give you an idea of who you'd be talking to, especially when we start talking about project, internal project workings or areas that need strengthening. We want to make sure that you're comfortable with the people that you're working with. So along with AIVRTTAC staff, we're going to be looking at having content experts join us, and at sometimes maybe even lead certain training and TA opportunities. So just to give you a brief background on them, the first content expert we have here is Paula. She's with Navajo Nation. She's actually the director of the Navajo Nation's Office of Special Education Rehab Services. She's been with AIVRTTAC since pretty much the beginning of our grant cycle here. Previously, she was with the TBR circle under KNAR. So she has a long history of providing that content expert and consultant expertise. Her knowledge as an active director her knowledge of programmatic inner workings and developing relationships with RSA is very important to the work that she's doing with us. Amanda Race joined us, I think it was last year. So she's got a year under her belt with AIVRTTAC, and she's a current director of the Tenant of Chiefs in Fairbanks, Alaska. So she brings in that really unique Alaskan experience, that ruralness and that type of thing that can help us expand our thoughts and thinking when it comes to the ruralness in the lower 48. So that is a unique position to be in, and we're really excited to have her joining us. Go ahead, Jamie. The next content experts we have are Rebecca Holland. She was the former director of the HAMUS program, and she is now working for Montana State VR, and she's the counselor supervisor. And actually, she's located in Billings with me, so that's kind of cool. We get to run into each other once in a while. But her experience as director and now with her experience in the state system, it really gives us that opportunity to expand on her experience. Exploit's a bad word. I shouldn't use that. But I'm joking. We are going to expand on her relationship building knowledge and that type of thing. So it's really exciting to have her work with us. Nancy, like I said earlier, she worked with me in the employment development and placement project. She's also an instructor with the Institute. So she has a lot of experience working with AIVR's projects already. And as you can see from here, she's got some state VR background, and Nancy has a lot of really interesting ideas and experience from her experiences that she brings into the project. So we're really excited to have these 4 people working with us. Jamie, you got a question in the chat box. It says, are there any other colleges that provide VR or TVR degrees besides Northwest Indian College? I have a degree in education and was curious about obtaining a master's in education with VR emphasis. I can respond to that, or you can, or Laura can.
It doesn't matter. You can, or Laura. I just know that there are a lot of online master's degrees in vocational rehabilitation, but none that I know of in tribal VR. So you guys may want to expand on that.
I'll take a shot at it, and if I mess up, Laura, you can correct me, okay? All right. Currently, there are a couple other colleges that are providing some background with tribal VR courses. There's nothing that's specific in a degree status for like a tribal VR counselor position or a tribal VR director's position. There are educational opportunities, but nothing specific. As far as we know right now, Northwest Indian College is one of the only ones that has the opportunity to move towards a bachelor's degree. And again, it's a human services degree with a concentration in AIVRs. So I don't know of any that are specifically identified as AIVR's bachelor degrees. And as far as master's degrees, there's nothing tribal. Like Jamie said, there's no master's degrees in any tribal colleges at this point that are focused on tribal VR. The only VR or the only master's degree in voc rehab that I know of are more state orientated, and there's some of them that are combined with like counseling, mental health counseling, and vocational rehabilitation, which is the degree I have, a master's degree I have. So it really is either there. I don't know of anything in education with a VR emphasis. I mean, I think you can probably do a secondary major or concentration in that graduate program. So sorry, I don't have a lot of good information for you, Rita. That's the best we got at this point.
That's great. I wanted to say Winston-Salem State University, and not because it's my alma mater, but they do have an online, 100% online master's degree in vocational rehabilitation. It is not tribal VR, but they do focus on minority and rural services. So that is, I think, helpful, even though it's not exactly what we're looking for as far as tribal VR.
Treva, would you be willing to expand on Jimmy?
Good morning or good afternoon. I was still typing, it jumped. So I was going to talk about Jimmy's pet air with San Diego State University. That was focused on tribal VR programs. A lot of the tribes, participated in that as a certification, and also some of them went on to get their master's and undergrad. And that was focused on tribal VR. And, the history of it, everything, he did a lot in that area. So, I think that, San Diego State would be one. The other one that also focused on having participation of tribal members was Southern University, what Madon can do. And at the same time, when RCEP was there, the regional rehab continuing ed program in the different regions, some of the universities, they really came forward in supporting KNAR and opened that avenue also for tribal VR programs within their respective regions. So that was one thing I wanted to share. But when you talk about vocational rehabilitation, they always said to provide services comparable to the state VR agency. I think that the difference is, the VR process is the same. The eligibility is that the individual for tribal VR, the individual has to be American and Alaskan Natives with disabilities. They have to reside on or near the reservation. But the eligibility process of, determination is the same as the state VR process. So, San Diego State focused on that. Navajo Nation at one time used their trust fund to award University of Arizona to provide that undergraduate, graduate, and doctoral program in VR. So that's where some of the other, tribal members, they attended that. So they obtained their degrees as graduate and undergraduate and, doctoral program in the area of vocational rehabilitation. So there are, some of that has happened in the past. It may not be so much just focused on tribal VR, but, they have their, like earlier, Mary talked about growing our own, having our own Indian professionals and vocational rehabilitation for tribal VR. And these are some of the folks that have moved the agenda forward and moved their programs forward, who attended these different, colleges and universities that made that opportunities available. They offer some scholarships to fund individuals. So I think that, credit should also go to them. Thank you.
Thank you so
Treva.
much. Yes, thank you, Treva. Anyone else have any questions? I think I can't see the questions, but I see a bunch of numbers popping up in the chat.
People are just responding to what Treva was saying and what you guys are talking about with Winston-Salem State. They're asking where is Salem? Nancy replied, North Carolina. Rita says, yes, I remember the history of San Diego and TVR. Thank you, Treva.
So I forgot to put a slide in here about the next webinar, but there is going to be a second version of this presentation on the 16th of February, and it will be more focused to all AIVR staff. Today, we just wanted to meet with the directors and answer any questions that you may have that would be different, than overall AIVR staff. So February the 16th, you'll receive some information probably in our weekly updates this week or our weekly announcements about that webinar. And if you have any staff that you want to refer or recommend or encourage to participate in that webinar, we'll be glad to answer any questions they may have as well. And if there's no more questions, thankful that you all participated today. Thankful for your questions. It's good to see everyone. We've missed you guys. Looking forward to getting back into the training and technical assistance mindset and mode and start rolling out some more training opportunities on some of these topic areas that you guys may wish for us to expand on.
Thank you, Mary. Mary posted she likes our weekly updates with resources. Is there any other items that you'd like to see on that weekly update, Mary?
What was your question, Wayne? About is there any other resource needed?
Yeah, is there any other items you'd like to see listed on that weekly update?
Well, I know that, you know, for me, when sometimes a staff member comes in and they have a question, and I can recall that you all did a webinar, sometimes it would be harder for me to go search for that, but I can go back to one of your updates, and if I look down the bottom, you've got your recorded webinars on there by topic, and that's been very helpful for me. I don't know, the only other thing I can think of that, you know, might be of assistance is, you know, somehow connecting the webinars and the printed resources that you have on your website. You know, click here for this resource or whatever. I'm not sure how you would actually do that, but that would be the only thing I could recommend is, you know, connecting the webinars. And for example, you know, if you have a resource on the case review guide or whatever, and you're discussing that in the webinar, you might somehow link those things together on your newsletter. But I know that I use your updates frequently just to find the resources that are out there without having to spend a great amount of time doing it.
That's great to hear. Thank you. And there is some changes coming. We're working on the website now that's going to have a lot of what you just talked about, Mary, the connection there and the links and the results of what we're doing will be present on this new website that's not present now. So stay tuned. It's coming. It's John and I have been working on it, and John's finding out that it's a little bit more detailed process than what we had initially thought. So we'll be there eventually. It's coming.
And also connecting to Northwest Indian College resources, the financial toolkit, the handbook chapters might also could be linked in, and so that a user could find those resources easily.
Yep, that we're going to be making those links as well from the new website to those tools and resources. So what did you just put in the box, Nona?
Everyone, I had to restart my computer for my, can you guys hear me okay?
Yeah.
Okay. I put in there that AIVRTTAC also has the YouTube channel. So Mary, that's another place where you can look easily to find our stuff. I know that our AWU list is kind of getting longer and longer as the months go by. So, but on our AIVRTTAC YouTube channel is all of our videos. And also, Laura Maudsley, if you could put in the chat, the Northwest Indian College YouTube, they have an excellent resource of videos. And I had to log off for a minute, but I don't know if you talked about that, but the YouTube videos you guys have are excellent resource.
You mean the instructional videos?
Yes.
Okay, I'll have to look for that. I don't have that link right available on this computer. I have it in my office, so. I will if I can get it up before this is over, then it will be in there.
The other thing we can do, Laura, is we can send it out in the AWU also.
Yeah.
Wayne, this is Treva. I just wanted to say thank you. I wish all of this was available when I became the counselor back in the day, you know. But, you know, a lot of the good information, you know, there's a lot of resources there, information, the TA, you know, I think that's really great. So, you know, to the programs, you have all your resources, information you need from AIVRTTAC and also Northwest. So take advantage of it, use it. You know, you don't even have to look any further than that to obtain the resources and questions that you have to help your, you know, to address your questions that you have and providing the services. So I hope that everybody will get 100 rehabs this year. You know, and meeting your goals and objectives. So good luck. So thank you, AIVRTTAC, and also Laura, for your leadership and the resources that you are providing to the programs. It's great.
Thank you, Treva.
Thank you.
Winona, did you just put the link for the videos in the box? I just want to say that these are instructional videos. They are not, they are put together to help people. They're not all, it's not all correct in these videos, so don't watch them thinking that it's all the way you should be doing something. I like to use the link through the NCRTM, the National Clearinghouse, because it actually has all the discussion questions that would go with it, and it kind of explains. If you just click on the YouTube video, it doesn't tell you that it's not, that this is the way you're supposed to do it, because they're really actually set up with issues that you would talk about in a classroom situation. So I just want to give that little disclaimer there.
So you can search for these videos on the NCRTM, and then that has the discussion module that goes with it.
Yes, it has all the discussion questions.
Okay.
And it kind of prefaces that these are teaching tools. Yeah.
So Laura is saying that these are all perfect and you should use them all. Just kidding.
Wayne, you're terrible.
So
I just want to
just a minute. I just want to
ahead.
clarify for everybody that what Laura is saying is that these are instructional videos that she uses in the courses, correct? So
Yeah.
they are purposely set up to not be 100% accurate. It's for people to look through and find the mistake. So if you're going to the YouTube site, these are the ones that you need to be looking for the mistakes. If you go to the National Clearinghouse site, NCRTM, that has the discussion that goes with that video.
Yes, it has the
Okay.
discussion questions that go with each one. So
Okay. Sorry, Jamie, go ahead.
Oh, no, that's fine. I was just in closing. I wanted to give a shout out to Carla Witowski and to Rose Navarro Redhell. They're brand new, and I just wanted them to join us today and kind of see how we all get together and talk, discuss things, really support each other. And I just wanted everyone to kind of say hello and let them know that we're there to help them and support them with their new grant. Same with others as well. Wayne, would you like to close us out?
It's great to see everybody. I'm really excited to be back in the swing of webinars. Again, we always want to be face to face, but unfortunately at this point we're still doing virtual, so we still need to maintain our connections that way. Eventually we'll be back. Just to give I've had a discussion with Lenore about KNAR, and we're talking, whether we do a virtual conference or a hybrid conference or a face-to-face conference. She's not sure yet. I'm just trying to stay in the loop with that. And we'll let everybody know as we find out. And as Lenore lets people know, just know that we'll be involved in supporting that process. Looks like Nona found the link the videos on NCRTM. That's in the chat box now. And that'll be the videos with the discussion pieces. I really enjoy seeing everybody, and during these scary times, you know, stay safe. We'll do the best we can. And reach out to us if you have questions. Even if you just want to shoot the breeze for a little bit, reach out to us. AIVRTTAC is here, and we're strong, and it's really awesome to be partnered with the TBR Institute, because we're seeing this pass through that's taken place, and it's starting to create the pathway that Laura and I had talked about at the beginning of the grant. So we want to see that transition from educational foundation to implementation, and I think we're getting there. Okay, so crickets are chirping.
I just want to say, everyone, have a good afternoon. And again, thank you for joining us today. Always feel free to reach out to us. We're happy to help in any way that we can. Have a great afternoon.